Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now we're taking a look here today at Ravencoin, which is a fan favorite. Got a really good group of folks in my community, both in Telegram and my Patreon account, that essentially love Ravencoin. It's a really big deal for a lot of folks, and I can see why. It's actually really cool. I've been invested in this for quite some time myself too. And again, this is not a fundamental analysis. We're just looking at technical charts only. But if you have insight on the fundamentals, feel free to include that in the description below. But more importantly, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a quick look at the charts and just know I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should do your own research and always take ownership of your own trades. And note also, if you stick around here today, you'll go ahead and learn a thing or two, right? So that's the whole purpose here. I want to make sure that you're more of an effective, self-sufficient trader moving forward. Also note I have a Patreon account, link in the description below, where I share all of my trades with my community members. I typically send an average of 2 to 4 signals per week with best practice, news updates, all that good stuff. Feel free to check that out in your own time and feel free to show your support. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get to the charts. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Ravencoin. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a baseline of the market so we know exactly what's going on, because any good trader will look at all the angles before they make an investment, right? So that's the purpose here, is to make sure that we look at a few things here. First thing is Bitcoin, but before we look at Bitcoin, this is TradingView desktop application. Keep that in mind. I recommend utilizing this and also any of the paid versions. I have a link in the description below for a discount for like a free month. But what I'm getting at is the fact that it's really important that you have more than just 2 indicators present at a time. So if you're going to be following some of the charts, kind of following along here, I might recommend you consider that. Regardless, the free version still sufficient, just it's difficult to have to keep adding and removing indicators. You'll see what I mean by that if you get to it. Regardless, let's look at Bitcoin here. This is a 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. And as we can see, there's quite a few ups and downs here. A lot of movement in the last couple of weeks. Okay, so ever since the the 21st, we've seen consistent increase with a strong sell-off here recently. Big picture, though, we have a support level at about 30,000. Major potential support. Again, we're kind of still testing this right now on the one-day chart, but the bottom line is that we're looking at 45,000, correction, 42,500 as the current support and resistance level. But prior to that, we have a support at about 40,000 even and 37,000 as well. All right, so just something to note there, but right now the price is trying to figure out if it wants to close above 42,500. And let's just take a quick look at this. Normally I just only focus on the 4-hour chart, but as you can see, the one-day chart hasn't fully closed yet. We've got about 2 hours left in the trading session, so we'll see what happens here in the next couple of hours. But if that can close above, there's a strong likelihood we're going to see this bull run continue. If not, it might try to retrace back down to 40,000. We'll see what happens there, but that is essentially where we're at for Bitcoin. Moving on to Ethereum. Very similar scenario here for Ethereum. It had a major resistance at about 2,900. It broke that, and now it's kind of trailing back down below, right? So very similar situation. You could apply the same logic here. On the one-day chart, it hasn't closed above yet, so technically it hasn't broken that resistance level. And that resistance has been tested multiple times in the past. On the 4-hour, it's been tested like 10 times. On the 1-hour chart, it looks like a good 5 or 6. All right. So either way you look at it here, maybe we have a pretty strong support level at about 2,400, but the price is just kind of doing this strong increase followed by a sideways retracement and the same continuation. So this is a pretty good strong bull run when you consider it, because it's going up and over, up, over, up, over. These are the kind of bull runs we like to see, right? So that's comfortable, that's good. Ever since that that news on the fork here recently, I think that was yesterday, Ethereum's been kind of taking off. So this is good. We want Ethereum to look like this because this is very similar, very reminiscent to this increase back here as well, right? So after that first major Bitcoin sell-off, Ethereum went on a tear for a good 2 or 3 weeks. We could be seeing that happen again. Either way, it's important for Ethereum to break above 2,900, and it's trying to do that right now. Moving on to Ravencoin. So taking a look here, first of all, we're going to look at the one-day chart first and work our way back down. And just to clarify too, we want to look at the major sell-offs from Bitcoin. So April 17th, that's this right here. This is a major sell-off from Bitcoin, right? So Ravencoin is not impervious to Bitcoin sell-offs. In fact, it responds naturally. It's also doing the same thing here as well. We got the Elon candle on the 12th and the China candle here. Ever since then, it's pretty much been a lot of sideways action and retracement. And of course, we've had just nothing but consolidation. However, ever since, again, the 21st, when Bitcoin kind of came above 30,000, and then we've seen Ravencoin just slowly increase in value. But obviously, we got a really strong increase here today. That's an approximate 50%, a little over 50% from lowest to highest point in the last 22 hours. It's pretty good. Let's take a look here actually at RSI. Big surprise, it's extremely oversold, overbought, which means it will likely retrace. Now, most of the time when you see a retracement here, you're going to see the retracement occur about 50% of the difference. So if we're just to kind of draw a random line here, we might see the retracement come down as low as about 9 cents. Okay, so that's just something to understand or consider. Most retracements average out about 50% of the original starting point. Just bear in mind also too, we do have a potential support level here as well, which is right about the same price, and there is a potential resistance here too at about 10.1 cents. So just note, if we can't close above 10.1, that'll likely be a resistance. It'll work itself into this channel between 9 and 10 cents. Okay. That's what we're able to see on the one-day chart. We've got just consistent convergence on the MACD. That's pretty standard after all the increasing. RSI on the 4-hour chart, obviously overextended. It's making its way back down. There's a strong chance that if you have an open position now, you're trying to have a short-term trade. Just say you did a day trade here today, you might want to consider taking some profits soon, because it looks like the RSI is starting to trail off, and it looks like it's stuck under, again, that 10.1 cent range. Furthermore, we've got MACD. It's indicating a strong convergence today at 1700. So let's just go ahead and mark that here, see if there's a connection between that and the Ishimoku cloud. All right. Not much else to note here. Let's go ahead and enable the simple moving averages. We are actually above both, which is fantastic. That's pretty standard considering the circumstances here. We had a golden cross there, and it's just been driving the price up. So as you can see, this 50-day simple moving average is working as a strong support level. It will likely get tested in the next 48 to 72 hours because it's going to start increasing a lot faster, and the price will catch up with it. And once it does, we'll see how that responds. But if it works as a support level like it has been so far, it'll probably drive the price up over 10 cents. That's the hope anyways. Moving on to the 1-hour chart, let's quickly identify the Ishimoku cloud. This is going to be no surprise, obviously. Price is over the cloud. It makes sense that it has been doing that because obviously since the 21st, 22nd, Ravencoin's been increasing in value. But as you can tell too, it's been hovering above and below the cloud as well, just based on the fact that there are periods of consolidation in between. Right now, obviously, even though the price is consolidating somewhat at this point, we do have the obvious indicator here. Take a look at this. Big surprise. X marks the spot. As soon as the price stayed, basically the price stayed above the Ichimoku cloud on Ravencoin, which basically just means that we had it working as a support level. But generally speaking, I went ahead and marked this line here. That's the convergence on the MACD on the 4-hour chart, basically telling us we had a buy signal. So had we invested right there, would have got a pretty strong return. And even if we just go to the current point right now, we're looking at about a 40% increase if you sold right now and got in when we got that convergence on the MACD. So it's an important thing to look for if you're a swing trader. Look at the MACD. It's definitely a very helpful tool. Furthermore, let's go ahead and see if we have a state of exhaustion yet. Actually, probably going to have a reset here, but let's take a look at the TD sequential. Yeah, and it does look like it reset and, wow, moved way past exhaustion. So with the TD sequential, it's kind of cool because it counts 1 through 9. Anything over 9 is essentially overtime, or just overextended, or just basically exhaustion, right? It reached a state of exhaustion. So if you look here, from this little run from 1 to 9, it didn't keep counting because obviously this bar was higher than the 4th bar previous. But as you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. That number 8 brought it way up there. So it's unusual to see that kind of price action, but honestly, the way Bitcoin was behaving today, it makes sense that Ravencoin took off just based on simple price increase over 42,500. It kind of blew through that resistance zone. Either way, not much else to really extract from the TD sequential, except for the fact that it's resetting, it's counting up again, so there's a strong chance that we could see this continue upwards or just continue sideways. I personally feel it's going to continue sideways for a little while. I don't think we'll see a lot of much more increase. I'd love it if it did, but it really depends on how Bitcoin's performing. I mean, if you look at Bitcoin, yes, it's increasing a little bit. We're looking at about 42,700, but you can tell it's kind of mirroring Bitcoin in this most recent situation here, which means it's probably back to its average true range. So Ravencoin should be at about 9 to 10 cents considering the price of Bitcoin right now. All right, so again, something to note, because when you look at the prices of Ravencoin before, when they were much higher, Bitcoin was at 50, 60,000 plus. So you got to understand that as well. Now let's go ahead and look at the 15, see if we can find a good entry point. Honestly, there probably won't be much of a good entry point, but I'll explain what I mean by that. First of all, this is where the convergence happened, and this is also another signal too. So if you see here these little yellow up arrows, that basically tells you we had a buy signal, because I have a notification for my EMA and my VWAP lines to tell me when to buy and when to sell based on when the price is above or below. So to clarify, the EMA line is the red line here. That's basically the exponential moving average. That's at 15. I use that on the 15-minute chart. It basically tells us when the bulls are in control. And as you can see, bulls are in complete control here. The price is staying above EMA the entire time. When the price is above VWAP, that's the volume weighted average price. That takes the the volume of the last 24 hours expresses it as a price. So in this entire situation here, VWAP has been working as a support level consistently. Okay. Now bear in mind it's going to reset here in a couple of hours because the standard deviation gets too far. It has to reset every 24. But what I want to get the point across here is that when the price is above EMA and VWAP and you have 30 minutes of confirmation, in other words, we have two green candlesticks closing above EMA and VWAP, that basically tells us the bulls are in control. We're above two different support levels and we're moving in the right direction. So that's the indication that I use in my signal group to ensure that I'm finding the right entries. Now, I average about maybe 80% success rate for my signals right now, and that's all because of the system that I'm utilizing here today by looking at the big picture for Bitcoin and then working my way down from the 1-day chart to the 15-minute chart. I really don't even bother with the 1-minute chart, honestly. Even as a day trader, I personally don't love it. I like having confirmation of the 15-minute chart telling me where we're going. Keep in mind too, we are having confirmation right here as well. So this confirmation does tell us there's a strong indication of a buy signal and the price could take off again. Again, there's no guarantee there because again, we are testing this support level at 10.1 cents or approximately 10 cents. And until that is broken, it's going to be hard to say, right? So if we can get the price to come above and stay above for maybe just say 30 to 60 minutes, then that might be a good consideration to continue taking entry or add to your position because we're above support and it closed above that. Because honestly, you have to look at least the 1-hour chart or the 4-hour chart. The price has to close above this line first in order for us to want to consider taking entry. Okay, because when the price increases like this, the only real things you have that help you take entry is the support and resistance levels. And those are commonly found in the Fibonacci retracement tools, but I've honestly been doing this for long enough. I don't necessarily have to look at that. You can utilize previous support and resistance zones, which it's currently making right now. And it's actually testing that level. So either way, my prediction here for Ravencoin, if we go ahead and take a look at the 1-day chart, is that it's going to be able to increase into its previous average true range. So to clarify here, and I forgot to touch on this earlier, I apologize. On the 1-day chart, we can see here that before the major Bitcoin sell-off on the 17th, Raven was hovering around 14 to 22 cents. In fact, I remember that. That was actually a good time for Ravencoin. It seemed to be a very, very popular coin at the time. And it still is. It's still really got tons of volume, good volatility. But the bottom line is that it's at 10 cents right now. And the bottom of the average true range is 14 cents. So we have about 4 more cents to go until it starts getting into that comfortable zone. But again, remember, this was 50 to 64,000 right here when Ravencoin was taking off. So unless Bitcoin makes a run towards 40,000, correction, towards 50,000 from 40,000, then we're going to likely see some sideways action from Ravencoin. It will probably not take off on its own because it is fairly reliant on Bitcoin. And we just saw a really large increase today because of the fact that Bitcoin took off. It got a good, I think 6 or 7% today. So that's that's pretty nice. That's awesome. But I would say pay attention to how Bitcoin is responding to the support level of 42,500 and let that be your catalyst for investing in Ravencoin. Because if we can get the 1-day chart on Bitcoin to close above, which is trending towards that now, we've got an hour and a half left in the trading cycle. If we can get this to close above 42,500, then I think it's going to be open season for another bull run from Bitcoin. Okay. But just bear in mind, if it stays in this channel for a little while, which is very likely, between 40 and 42,500, consider taking entry closer to 40,000 on Bitcoin, but also with Ravencoin, it'll probably dip down to 9 cents. consider taking entry there because there's a strong chance that it'll bounce off 40,000 and just blast through 42.5 again. Okay. All right, so if you found benefit, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much to my patrons for recommending I cover this. You're all very awesome. Thank you so much for your support. And if you're interested in, a Signal group yourself, I do share all of my trades with my community members. Link in the description below. I send out signals through Telegram. Just, best practice, kind of help everyone make more money, but more importantly, become better, more effective traders, because I utilize everything we just learned here today in that. And I think it's important to be a cautious trader and a patient trader, because fear of missing out is a bad thing. And unfortunately, there's a lot of hype in this industry right now. We just need to pump the brakes and make good trades. So thanks again. We'll hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.